The scene is set outside of the city of Trento, deep into the wilds on the outskirts of the outlying farmsteads and villages that surround the city itself. Standing as a pillar of civilization within this wild land sits the old monastery. Its walls and ceiling still dilapidated from times past. The clouds are thick and heavy in the air, and rain pours down in a torrent of typical autumn weather. The place is a flurry of activity. The monks that have taken residence here have begun their arduous work of restoring this temple of God, tilling the small, barren land to make meagre crops of what they can, and removing the worst of the infringement of nature upon the old monastery. However, signs of its restoration are beginning to take shape as new thatching has been placed upon the roofs where the old wooden slats have fallen in, keeping a warm glow and at least a dry place for the monks to rest. Upon the lonely road is a figure, silhouetted in the sheet of rain as he approaches the monastery.
And, I guess that's me. So, this figure, he's kind of tall for Dark Ages standards, but not very tall, like definitely less than 6 feet. And, he's wearing, I guess since it's pouring rain, a white robe with the hood up. He's got, like, paint on his face that's running down his face, I guess, now because it's raining. He's got like a leather belt strapped around his waist that has a strap that comes up around his shoulder, and then he has like a battle harness type deal. He's got like an axe on his back and like a little dagger on his side attached to the belt. And he's got like both of his hands inside the robe, and he just walks up to the monastery, and his eyes are glowing like bright ass yellow. And he just kind of like stands in front and looks up at this structure. I assume since there's like monks living inside here that there's some lights or something. So I'm just gonna like stand back at the tree line, staring at this thing, looking it up and down, and noting, the whatever you call it, deforestation you've done. I'm just gonna examine this place for a little bit. And is there like a door on it?
The main entranceway has a door which is still functional. It's a little weather-beaten, and the wood itself has warped slightly. So it is more to keep the cold out than to keep any intruders out. But there is a door there.
Alright. Is there anyone around here, or am I alone with the nice broken down front of this like cathedral or whatever?
Due to the weather and the fact that there's still sort of wild lines outside, most of the residents are within.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna stare at this place for a little while more. And is there any kind of information I would be able to gather on it with like an occult or like a hearth wisdom or anything? Or
Like if you have any theology, you might be able to pick up something that's a little odd. But if you're just depends what you're sort of looking for.
I think that it's weird that monks would come to live in this place before it was finished. Usually, like, I don't know, I would assume when the church fixes something up, they, like, fix it up before sending all their people to go live in it.
It's certainly odd.
All right. Well, Hmm. I guess I'll knock on the door, turn off my glowy eyes, and knock on the door if there's nothing going on out here. I want to meet these people.
As you go through the overgrown vine streaked walls, along the wild flowers and weeds leading up towards the main building of the monastery, you can hear the sound within of would be Latin prayer as mass is taking place within. Your your hand slamming against the wooden door, echoing in the night sky.
I didn't
Barely,
realize there was mass going on inside.
well, perhaps
Oh well.
it's yeah. I'm not sure how au fait you are with Christian rituals, but yes,
I know a little bit.
yeah. There's
All right.
certainly seems to be a lot of people chanting in Latin in prayer. It seems.
All right. Well, I mean, if they're too busy to answer the door, I'll let myself in.
Well, your knocks echo along the chamber, although slightly drowned out by the torrent of rain outside. And opening the door is old gentleman, bearded and shrouded. He seems quite tired, but his eyes dart around, straining against the darkness. Oh, well met, traveller. Please come in out of the rain.
Thank you. And he'll just step inside. He'll keep his hood up though, and shake off the rain a little bit.
My, what a ghastly scene it is out there. Come in, warm yourself by the fire.
I am just appreciative to be out of the rain. Who are you people?
Oh, I am Brother Ametri. Recently arrived from Venice. This is the me and my brothers have gone on a spiritual journey to come to Trento to restore this place of God. I've turned all Scottish, I don't know why.
That's all right. At some point in the future, my voice and accent will also change, I am sure. Um, but I noticed you've not been here very long. I've been here for a very long time, and already you have made my possums homeless and are tilling fields far away from the other farmers. And I am interested in knowing why.
Possums? He says quizzically.
Uh, don't worry about it. They lived in the brushes and trees you cut down. Animals of mine.
Ah, I see. You're a man of the woods, trapper, yes?
Uh, more of a huntsman.
Oh,
I am quite skilled at running down prey. You would be surprised to find out that humans can run much longer than deer or any other animal.
that is impressive, young man. He says, a little unsure of how to respond to that. I suspect that your such abilities will not be needed here, for at least Trento, for the time being, is at peace, which will hopefully continue. But if you wish
Yes,
for more answers, you must speak to the uh, abbot of the monastery.
of course. What's this guy's name again? I would remember in character, but I forgot.
My name is Brother Ametri.
Brother, all right, Brother Ametri. Um, I'll just kind of like extend a hand, and it'll come out of the robe, and it'll be pretty pale and just like giant, not huge, like I don't have huge size, but it's big, like muscly man hand. I'll just like go to shake his hand if he will shake my hand.
He will shake the hand. He's not used to obviously the new customs of this new land. Although Venice is not far from Trinto, different customs of the peasantry change from village to village, and not wanting to cause offence, he will certainly take it.
Be like, thank you very much for your information. You were very helpful, and I appreciate you letting me out of the rain. Now please take me to see your master.
You go through the main sort of, I don't know, temple, sort of altar, and you can see that there are many pews, which lots of the monks sit under the dimness of candlelight. The shadows loom very thickly in here. The floor has been laden with hay to give a sort of, trying to keep the warm in, basically. And you are led through to one of the pews to a side room, at which there is no door, it is open. It is a small hall which is bedecked in trunks and travelling cases, tied cloth sacks that seem to all contain parchment, quills, and various sort of scholarly writing implements and bookbinding materials. And sitting bowed and bent in front of one of these tables, a worn snub of a candle kept quite a distance from the actual writer. How this monk can see so well within such the dim light and still pen inked parchment, you are unsure. But the monk enters and bows deeply and says, Brother Samuel, this stranger has come upon the road and seeks shelter within our domain. He wishes to speak with you. At which point the seemingly younger monk turns. His face is ashen white, like yours. His hair is thin and blonde. His eyes are stark blue. He's not a handsome man by any stretch of the imagination, but not due to any of his features or his cleanness of limb, but simply he has what appears to be some sort of disfiguration. He has sort of black veins that come up from his face, and thick sort of wounds that sort of drip and sort of pulsate. But as you speak to him, you notice that occasionally, his features will change. Like the mole on his face would move, his eyes would slowly change color, his skin would change pigmentation ever so slightly. It's an unnerving sight. It looks like almost like his very countenance within this dark room seems to shift and change like a muddy pool in the sea. Well met, traveller. I am Brother Samuel. You may leave us now, Dimitri.
Oh, yeah, I'll wait for that guy to leave, I guess. And then I'll bow back. My name is Miketch. I'm gonna remove my hood, and then even in, I guess, in the dark candlelight, you can it's a flaw, so you can definitely see it. He's got his eyes are black. He's got a little bit of white just around them, but the pupil and the iris, and then a large portion of the rest of the eye is black. He's very, very gaunt, and he has dark circles under his eyes and stuff, and he looks kind of like he's starving, but also very physically fit and primed to eat people. Basically, I have eyes of the shark, which is eerie as shit. And he'll just take off his hood, and you can definitely see that. And he'll just take a seat if there's a place to sit.
He gets up and offers you a stool. and simply like sort of stand. Well met, my son. What brings you on this dark and lonely path into the woods?
I live here. I'll like sweep my arm in the general direction of all the fields and over there. And you have come to stay where I have been for a long time, and I am in the custom of getting to know my neighbors.
Well met.
Indeed, well met, well met.
As you are aware, I am Brother Samuel. I have recently arrived with my brothers from Venice, and then originally from Constantinople. I have been entrusted and tasked by the Countess to restore this place of God and to bring the Almighty's guiding hand onto the city.
I'll nod. I can't exactly say that I know precisely what you're talking about, but from what I have gathered, you do not come here as an invader or in any sort of malice.
No, we come in peace,
Oh,
my friend.
well then.
We were invited by the Countess, one of my kin, to help restore the balance within this fair city.
Oh, and then like a little bit of glimmer of recognition will go off in Tether's face, and he'll just be like, "Ah, the Countess, that Countess. There are so many of them." I am surprised she did not warn you to look out for our kind.
Which of the great legacies do you hail from?
I am Tether McKetch, child of Brunhilde, child of Odin the All-High, and I'll just like list a bunch of Gangrel going back to Anoia. So I'll just do that. I don't feel like listing them all because I don't know which ones are older than Odin the All-High.
Ah, well met, my friend. You come from a noble line.
This I know. And I am far from anyone who recognizes that.
I too am an outsider in these lands. I hail far to the east originally, but my father has different designs, as he does to us all. Tell me, are you a follower of Via Keladi?
I am not. I don't speak Latin.
In the vulgar tongue, it is the road of heaven.
Oh. Yes, I know of heaven.
I am an Ashen priest, ordained by my brothers and sisters within the Ouroboran order. I act as confessor and counselor in matters of the spiritual.
What do you confess?
Man's sins to be laid bare in the eyes of his Lord, to cleanse his soul, to impart himself onto his great journey. And we, in our condition, cursed as we are, we sin greatly.
He'll nod. Yes, it is within our nature to sin as it has been defined. Our very existence requires the lifeblood of others, which is a sin if I am not mistaken.
It is. But we need not question the Almighty's wisdom in this. For he always has a plan, and it was him that cursed Cain, and so he has a great plan for all of us. We must atone for these great sins and do his work whenever possible. You seem to me have the bearing of a warrior.
I suppose, out of necessity. At once, at one time, I was, what is the word? A mariner out of folly. I left my home back in Erin against my father's wishes, although eventually with his blessing, as I could not take on the ocean without my father's blessing. Out of love for a mortal woman. When you have lived a long time, as cliched as that is, it is bound to happen. And I get a look at you and realize you're a priest or whatever, in other professions, of course. And I found when I tried to return home, my lieutenant and second in command, Faraday, stepped off of my vessel and back onto the shores, and immediately was reduced to ashes. And having been told by my father and by the woman I was following that this would be a one-way journey, I realized that I could never return home, and have been wandering, and as you say, acting as a warrior when the occasion called for it, for a very long time. I'm very weary, and I've set up here, and I intend on staying here and helping this city flourish until I can create something that would be comparable to my home. At least this place is lush. I apologize if I bore you with my story. It has been a very long time since I've had anyone to tell it to.
Not at all, my son. You have come far and have many troubles and woes. It is a tragic tale indeed, but one with purpose. Few in this dark and dreary time after the fall of civilization can claim as such.
And you say, I'll look around at the broken down cathedral, or abbey or monastery. The church is the one who has ordered the tilling of the fields and the building of this church.
The church? We come from a higher calling. Me and mine are, well, we are exiles from our original place since the raiding of our fair golden city. We have gathered and wish to make a place amongst ourselves. But Venice is not kind to those who are not of its blood. And so we look for any home that we can.
This I know.
I apologize if my flocks are, well, tending to the land has disturbed your harmony nor domain, but we are in dire straits. Winter is soon upon us, and we have barely enough food to last us. I fear that without the aid of the folk of this city that we will surely starve, or they will surely starve. I was hoping that my esteemed kin would show humble charity in her wisdom, but alas, she has ordained that the court will not support this endeavor, and so we must face this challenge.
How quickly do you intend on completing construction, at least enough to invite the people of the fields to masses?
Well, God does not look at the the colour of the windows, nor the brightness of thine candles, but he is here. It is his place.
Well, yes, this I understand, but how long until you will be openly having services? Because I believe your church is closer and more accessible to the field people than having to travel all the way inside the city walls to attend their masses, and at least I can keep my eye on them at all times if they come here.
It is my hope to be able to tend the peasantry as soon as possible. The education of the salt in the ways of the Almighty and their tending of their immortal soul is a job that must be in constant vigilance. Thus, I always enjoy the company of those of the fields. Their small tales and lives often bring comfort to a scholar such as myself. I do enjoy the harvest season most of all, when hopefully next year that this monastery is up, we can have a grand harvest and begin to distribute the ale and I forgot what they make in monasteries because I know they make beer.
Probably make wine too, no? Like vinegar and shit?
No, yeah, maybe. In celebration.
Well, I'm gonna, is there like a window in here or like a wall with a hole in it or something?
There can be.
Alright, so I'm gonna point out the window or whatever towards the forest and the fields that that I was talking about with all those fields people. I'll find a landmark or whatever that right there, that let's say that willow tree that's been struck by lightning and is in half like a Y, is the border of my domain. I do care for the animals regardless of border, but I have no problem with you continuing to till the fields to feed your people, provided you do not feed from the fieldmen when they come to attend your church. I wish them to feel safe and to stay here with me for a long time, and I can't have them being devoured.
Of course. The same respect I hope to instill upon me and my flock here. But rest assured that no fieldmen would feel the anger of my presence, unless they have sinned greatly. For that is my curse.
If they are a murderer or something equally dastardly, then feel free to eat them. However, please do not eat the fieldmen when they come to attend church, and I will try to steer them in your direction.
You do me a kindness.
Well, I do us both a kindness.
I hope that we may live and prosper in these lands for years to come, and that this first meeting is the first of many of a great and long friendship.
Agreed. May I ask you a question?
Certainly.
Please, I do not wish to offend, but why does your face change like that? And why do you not heal your wounds?
He closes up slightly. You can see that actually he winces. My sire is a great scholar and studier of medicine and the herbal arts. It was his belief that since we are all made in God's image, that the fingerprint of the divine lay within the body. And that although that we are all cursed, either by the original sin of Adam, the first father, or from our predecessor, Cain, the kinslayer, that within is a spark of the divine. It was his hope to be able to unlock this. And so with his mediations and his great works, he created me. As such, I am both blessed and cursed. My body, he says, like looking at his hands, and he's sort of a little like distantly, like they almost don't belong to him, was wrought. I could no longer contain the flesh upon my bones. I changed like that of water. I was mercurial. My original face and form and my very sanity dripped down like a leak upon the roof. Until then, I was a lost soul, a beast of naught but contemplation, and could only be kept away and tended to by the keeper of mysteries. It was upon my journey that I had a visitation. A grand visitation. His eyes go sort of starry-eyed for a second, and he looks out into the night sky, and you can see that his face starts to begin to change again, like almost like he's not really sort of paying attention, and it becomes much more regal, like that of a oil painting denoting like the chorus of heaven. I was visited by he that cursed Cain, and visited me, saying I had a great purpose. And he touched me upon the forehead, and then he gave me a face to anchor me. But now that I can hold my body and do God's work, I am not of this world. The divine is not meant to walk upon this place. And so the gift devours. It is my penitence to keep me humble, enduring the pain, so that I may alleviate the pain of others.
I'll just like bow my head a little bit. That is a troubling plight. Indeed. Is there no way to alleviate it? Perhaps if you confessed your sins, like you said before.
My sins are washed away, for I do God's work. Though every man must slip and fall occasionally, he may find the path once again. I do not resent this condition, my friend. It is my calling. It is what drives me. To alleviate it would be to set against what God's plan for me is, and so I simply just humbly accept his gifts and his curse, so I may do his work for the betterment of us all.
That is very selfless, and by doing this, you hope to get into heaven.
He looks a little sad. It is not my place to say whether we, the cursed, enter heaven. Many of my kind, and many who follow my road, believe that perhaps there is a place amongst the celestial chorus for us. Others believe that we are cursed and only can go into hell. But who can say but the Almighty himself? It is not the great punishment I fear, but I believe every soul is worth redeeming. But there is always a path we must take.
How do you redeem these murderers you plan on eating?
All sins are forgiven and washed away in the final sacrament. Their misguided souls will be cleansed, and in baptism of fire They will be prepared for God's judgment. I do not kill. Even the most vile murderers do not fall victim to me. For murder is the original sin of Cain.
Yes.
But
And is it not apparent that it is not good, considering it unleashed an entire curse that spanned the history of time?
Precisely. Men are quick to remember the power of the Almighty when faced with such a curse. And although I may take my sustenance from them, or from my flock when they willingly give it to keep myself from falling to the devil, they soon will see the error in their ways of defying the Lord and seek redemption on their own.
Before I took upon this curse, I did not come from an environment where the church's teachings were accepted or meant much of anything. But ever since, I have come to find that the church is the only ones who ever have any answers when I ask these questions, and I appreciate you sharing your knowledge. This is why I support what the church is doing to these cities, making them larger and smarter, and less aware of the small details that go on around them that don't require their full attention. It makes my job much easier.
Knowledge is not something to be hoarded like wealth. It is a gift to be bestowed from one to another. We all learn from each other. We all have wisdom in our own ways. Even the fool who prances upon the fields has a wisdom of his own.
Fools do not last very long in my fields. Unless they are fleet fools.
Well, if a fool must have anything, it is a gift to be fleet.
You would think so, wouldn't you?
You have been here for some time. Do you know much of the city's inhabitants?
Unfortunately, I do not. I know of... what's her name? The Countess? Yeah, I know of her. And I know that there are others of our kind who live within the city, but they rarely come outside of the walls, at least where I have staked my claim, and I have just learned enough from my studies of the field people to feel comfortable attempting to enter their society. There's much I do not know and must know if I am to survive. I thought, perhaps for a while, that this civilization thing would just blow over, but it seems to be here to stay. So we must adapt.
Man raises its hands. We are people of the world, but cities grow. And although this is a dark time and the great fall of our classical civilization, knowledge is not lost forever. Soon even the barbaric lands of Jerusalem will once again see the hand of civilization upon it. Even the great kingdom of Gaul fell to the Caesars, and soon saw the benefits of organization within the Kine.
Some of my mortal progenitors went on to serve as officers for the Romans. And I must say, I did see the benefits. I didn't see them personally, because I had not been born yet. But when I heard about them, I saw the benefits. If you seek to disseminate knowledge, I would implore you not to overlook the knowledge not found in books and scrolls, but found in elderly fishwives and old crones, because there are many things I have found to be incredibly useful, particularly when it comes to surviving in this woods, that I've learned from simply crouching by the proper window and keeping an ear open.
I would love to hear these stories of crones and fishwives upon occasion in which you wish to visit me.
Another time, I must find a suitable place to rest. Not that your beautiful building here is not to my taste, but I need to be within sight of my flock.
I understand, but know that you are welcome within these walls, if ever you need shelter.
I will inform the field men who I know to tell their friends to put their fears aside, for you are simply men of the church come to, preach to them or whatever.
My friend, may I ask a favor of you? I have been entrusted with the Countess for a task which I do not feel that I am up to in this given state, at least not until my flock has been tended to for the winter months. There is a procession of men from Rome that will be passing through our city with a wagon laden with old scrolls. If they pass through your roads and fields, would you tell me?
I suppose so. Can you give me more information on these men who plan on invading my lands?
From what little the Countess told me, they are men travelling from the east of the region, laden with old scrolls and parchments depicting various translations and scholarly works. I know very little else apart from that, although that the Countess fears that these scrolls might pertain to our condition and the curse of Cain, and wishes to read them for herself.
I will inform you if these men come within 30 leagues of my land.
You do me a kindness once again. Please. Come upon me whenever you need anything, and I shall do my hardest to help you in the spirit of friendship and good neighborly love.
If anything you find requires my immediate attention, burn a torch in your highest tower facing the east.
Well, the night goes wrong and long, and the clouds are parting.
It would seem that God is giving me the opportunity to walk home in peace.
Well met, McCrick. However you pronounce your name.
McKetch.
McCatch.
He'll do like another little bow, and he'll put his hood back up, and he'll try to be as quiet as he can to not interrupt the mass again, and he'll walk out into the woods and disappear.
Brother Samuel will watch him go, fading into the tree line. curious member of the city indeed, but one prone to conversation rather than violence. Love thy neighbour, for he may be the only sword that will be at your side when the darkness looms. End scene.